Hey folks, how's it going? It's Game Webcam. I'm going to be taking an interview that I had with Spacebuilder and decided to put it in a video. And don't worry, Spacebuilder did give me permission to put this interview on YouTube. If I should be able to try and upload this sort of thing on YouTube or something, so that way this whole interview just doesn't go to waste.
Yeah, no, I mean, feel free, feel free. I mean, I expect that sort of thing anyway.
Originally, though, this interview was conducted for a college project. I had to make an auditorial story of getting involved with communities and the issues that they have to go through. Considering that I am a reclusive person, I didn't have a whole lot of options when it came to the communities I can interact with. Roblox and Brick Hill were two communities that I really wanted to try and get into this project because I know that I could speak about these communities passionately. It did involve taking the original prompt and sort of bending the rules a little bit. I did finish the project, and when I tried presenting my story to the class, I ran into technical difficulties. This is because my teacher accidentally presented the PowerPoint version of my presentation, because I originally made the presentation on Google Slides, but when I tried submitting the link to the assignment page, it wouldn't let me submit because I didn't have a file attached. So I took my Google Slides presentation and downloaded it as a PowerPoint just so my university's website could accept the submission. It is sort of my fault because this could have been prevented if I knew that just sharing the Google Slides counted as the submission. Anyways, I may upload the audio story on my second channel. This video is going to contain the full interview that I had with Spacebuilder. This interview is about 45 minutes. When listening to this interview, there's going to be one thing you'll notice right away. Spacebuilder has a tendency to go super in-depth and ramble his answers on even the simplest of questions. This made it harder for me to ask follow-up questions because sometimes he would just answer them on my behalf. I omitted questions from my interview because they either weren't worth the time or they were just answered by Spacebuilder. Also, you may notice that a lot of the questions I ask are generic questions and don't go in a lot of depth. That's because the questions were written so Spacebuilder could give me a general idea about the platform. He was the credible source, as no journalist is going to write articles about a Roblox alternative. More importantly, nobody in my class knows what Brick Hill is. It is important to get Spacebuilder to describe the basics of the platform so that my classmates can understand what it is about and why it was worth mentioning. If I were to have conducted this interview primarily for a YouTube video, I definitely would have gone a lot more in depth with some of the topics. One last thing, just like the Brick Planet staff member interview, there aren't going to be any fancy visuals throughout this interview. After all, the project stated that you had to tell a story using only audio, so visuals were out of the equation. I will try to add nifty little post edits here and there, but other than that, you are perfectly fine just minimizing this video and listening to the audio. Also, if you notice some cuts during the video, there are a few things that I did omit at both Spacebuilder's request and things I personally omitted because I'm worried that it might stir up controversy. That's all I have to say, and here is an interview with Spacebuilder. Alright, so, I do have, something listed up here. Okay, here we go. I guess we could just start off this interview, just by saying, stating your name. Well, what's your name?
My name is Alex, or Alex Dunn, or Spacebuilder if you want to call me that.
And let's get the few. Oh my goodness, I'm trembling. So I want to focus, the first few questions of this interview on, just getting to know, the basics of Brick Hill. So, could you tell me what is Brick Hill?
Brick Hill right now is more or less a social platform based around, users connecting with each other. There is a huge kind of aspect of, people make their own games and build and stuff like that. That's not a huge aspect of it right now, but obviously we are focused on bringing that to the forefront. But as of right now, it is pretty much solely kind of customize your avatar, talk to other people, just that sort of social aspect.
When did you find Brick Hill, and what made you come up with the idea of Brick Hill?
Uh, I mean, it's kind of obvious to say that, we saw like, Blockland and Roblox and Minecraft and things like that. And that kind of, we had always kind of toyed with this idea of kind of like making our own platform. That's sort of something we talk about a lot, me and my brother. But yeah, it wasn't until Block City came along, which was kind of like another Roblox clone, if you want to call us that. Um, and we kind of realized that, yeah, this sort of thing is possible. Um, because I think Isaac at the time was something like 17 or 18 himself. So we thought, yeah, it's definitely possible. We could probably do this if we try to. Um, so we gathered a team together, got some stuff moving. We had a pretty decent chunk of, like a small team, but very dedicated to this project. So yeah, I mean, honestly, there wasn't much of a direction we wanted to take it. We had kind of an idea in our head that we wanted this community kind of based around bricks and building and whatnot. But there was no real kind of, this is what we should do. We should do this next. There's no kind of roadmap or anything. We were really just kind of seeing what we could make or what we were capable of making. And then obviously that became Brick Hill. That was probably around like August 2016 is when it really started to, when we really started to take it seriously, start to try and really build it up. And then obviously it released in March 2017.
So, you mentioned how, just a quick follow-up question. So, are you
Yeah.
considering Brick Hill more of like a passion project, or do you think this is something that you could actually plan on doing like full-time?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely started as a passion project, and honestly, up until recently, I had just considered it a passion project. It never really took over, like, this is serious, this could be a real thing. I definitely think I should have realized the potential it had sooner. It was only in maybe the start of 2020 when I really thought, we could take this somewhere, and also that this, we're capable of losing Brick Hill, because um, the way it grew was very kind of slow, very steady, and I kind of assumed that would be like the status quo for a while, and then 2020 came along, and we kind of just thought, we should really take this somewhere. We should really make the most of this opportunity that we've been given. This is a real thing. People play it. I certainly enjoyed, boosting things for the community and things like that, and really kind of seeing people play the platform, use it, talk to each other. It really kind of inspires you, especially. Um, I can't even remember what you just said. The the question that you asked. Um,
Uh,
what was that?
are you talking about the question I just asked?
Yeah, the follow-up question. I
uh,
went on a huge tangent.
oh yeah, the follow-up question was like, is Brick Hill considered more of like a passion
Oh
project,
yes,
like
thank
what
you.
like what
Yeah,
Bopamo is, or is it like going to be like
right,
an actual
right.
full-time thing, like
Yeah,
Roblox is?
I would love to build it into a full-time thing, and it practically is there, like potentially. Probably not for the entire team, and personally myself, I wouldn't want to kind of make it a full-time thing unless, we could kind of support the entire team. Um, But yeah, I mean, it has that potential. I mean, obviously we're an incorporated company now. We hire people, we have contracts, we have freelancers and people working for us now, which is exciting. It is definitely moving in that direction. Same with like merchandise. We have to do international kind of like I can't remember what you call it, but for taxes and whatnot and VAT stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, a bunch of business
we're definitely
jargon.
yeah, we're definitely taking control of it now. I mean, I even went now. I take a business and management course, just to kind of help me along with this journey. So we are definitely moving it in that direction. But yeah, it did start out as a passion project.
All right, so I noticed that in your answer, you're talking a lot about like the development of Brick Hill. So let's focus some of the next few questions about Brick Hill's development. So I noticed that in the past few months, a lot of progress has been made towards the Brick Hill platform, such as the new workshop, some of the new clients that are currently being worked on, and I want to kind of ask a few questions about that sort of thing. So I want to first focus on the new workshop. What do you think makes the new workshop stand out as opposed to like the older one or a customly built one like Brick Builder, for example?
It's kind of like what doesn't stand out because the current one, it definitely has like I would say it has like charm. It's got some novelty to it. You see these kind of graphics that kind of look a bit a bit goofy, a bit old, a little bit retro. That's the kind of the appeal that this one has right now. But you know, you can't even rotate stuff vertically, and kind of there are just so many limitations there. You kind of like you have to have a brick with studs. You have to build more or less in this grid. It gets very laggy. It's very clunky. Um, Obviously, it was built in Game Maker, that one, and then obviously you have Brick Builder that came along, which was obviously honestly like fan made stuff like that has kind of pushed us along. I think I don't know. It's half testament to Brick Hill how diverse it is, like how much you can actually do with such a limiting program, I guess. But then obviously it's a testament to the community and how innovative they are, and kind of like the community we could harbor if we made full use of this. But anyway, the workshop, the new one. I mean, I believe you purchased the beta. You've played it, I assume a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
in fact, I have, like, I've tried installing the latest version on Linux, and I can't get it working because it won't
okay.
authenticate properly. Even though I tried, like, making a custom desktop file and everything, it just won't send the authentication code properly to the application, so I can't authenticate my account to the
Yeah,
application and
that's a
get this
shame.
working. I raised an issue about that on the GitLab, though.
Yeah, that'll probably get seen. I mean, there's some issues with Mac as well, but um, yeah, I mean, the new one, it just, you know, it really blows out the park. I mean, the one thing we want to capture still is obviously the Brick Hill feel, and I know that's not entirely the question you asked, but um,
No worries,
you know, we don't want it to.
feel free to
Yeah,
clarify.
we really want to like pour our personality into that, so it still feels like Brick Hill, and so you still, you know, it doesn't lose that novelty factor or anything like that. And as well as that, I mean, with all these new features and stuff that we're pouring into it, um, it really does revolutionize it. It's very hard to say like what sets this apart from the current one because it kind of like it turns us into a real game, like an actual platform that you could take seriously and consider. But you know, I could make games on this, and I do this and that on this game, and yeah, I mean, it's just so much more powerful. It opens the platform up to many more people. You know, like I mean, I personally, up until like last year, I had this terrible little laptop. It ran so slow. I think I got like 10 frames on Minecraft, and
I
Brick
think
Hill
I've
just ran
seen some of the
terribly.
screenshots.
Yeah, honestly. And then it wasn't until last year where I got this computer, and it really kind of you could see the difference. And I thought, you know, Brick Hill needs to be accessible to everyone. You know, like the kid playing on their dad's old laptop or something like that. Even if there are, you know, just the range of people. And then obviously, as you know, we're trying to push it to mobile. And as you know, we kind of dropped the Steam stuff that was more or less in response to you because we just weren't thinking forward. You know, we weren't thinking that far ahead, thinking we'd have to maintain this if we did that and this. We just thought, oh, it'd be cool if we could do that. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for mobile and everything like that, it's kind of very necessary. Especially the feedback from the event we're hosting right now. We can definitely tell that there are so many users that play on mobile that are kind of missing out on an opportunity, and we are missing out on that opportunity to tap into that market. Um,
Okay,
but
so
yeah,
I noticed that you're talking a lot about the mobile support and all that sort of stuff. So it kind of has like this tie into the Player 2 client. So could you go a little bit more in depth about the Player 2 client? Like maybe like when can we expect the Player 2 client
oh
to be
boy,
released, or
yeah.
like the progress that we know has been made on it so far?
We wanted to get it out in conjunction with this event, but being like Brick Hill, being Azure, and just kind of like the way it worked, it obviously it didn't work out because you don't see it on the game right now. But we're kind of just the idea for us. It would be a success if it comes out before the new client. Um, we are hoping to get it out soon. I would say Player 2 is in a very capable state. I think the only things that it kind of can't do right now is like some reason like loading bricks when they start up, you can't kind of like rotate them. There's some kind of thing with that. I'm not a very technical person. I don't know what the issue is there. And then there's some kind of corruption issue after like load certain amount of bricks. Sometimes they just kind of like stop loading or break or something like that. So it's just a tiny bit unstable right now. But aside from that, it runs great. Like scripting is done. The graphics pretty much done on that. Obviously, I mean, there's not much you can do since we were using an engine anyway. But I mean, the shadows are a bit goofy, but I actually kind of like that. And they'll probably end up sticking around because I don't. I think that's been a head scratcher for Edge. I think he doesn't. He's frustrated in those shadows, but he can't change that. So they'll probably be in the final climb. But honestly, there isn't much more to do. I mean, occasionally we'll think like I think bots. I think something that we kind of realize. Oh wait, we haven't done that yet. But I think that those are done now. So you have bots in the game. Uh, And then I think it's loading in hats, like not as actual like hat accessories, but like hat bricks, if you've seen them in game. Um, there's not much left to do, but they just seem to be kind of like roadblocks, I guess, kind of showstoppers, because he just kind of can't move past that. It's frustrating that we can't get it out, especially that we can get it out for this event. And we look like, trust me, we were really trying to cram all the work we could into getting out. Because I mean, I think you could probably you could tell this event is kind of set apart from the rest of them. Like Max and everyone else working on the event has really poured their heart and soul into trying to make this like the biggest thing possible. So it was a shame we couldn't get it out for that. And we are, as I say, we're trying to get it out as soon as we can. But as long as we can get it out before the client, like a reasonable time before the client, the new client, sorry, we'll be happy with it. When you're working with a bunch of volunteers, everyone doing this mostly because they enjoy it and they get something out of it.
Yeah,
It's
like
very
they're
hard
not
to
actual professional workers.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously we showed it off because it was a thing and it was upcoming, and it is really close. But the thing is, it kind of lingers on that really close for however long it may be. But yeah, I mean, that's why we kind of let him do that, him deal with that, and then we want to focus on what we can actually push forward and what we can do ourselves, what we are in control of. Yeah, I think that more or less answers it.
Uh, just a personal question, because, like, this has nothing to do with the interview at all, but this is just a personal question for me and my friend, because he recently made, an account for Brick Hill. Do you think that the Player 2 client will support Mac OS and Linux? Because he recently got a...
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, because he got a new Mac, and he's, like, a little upset that he can't play on the Mac, because the current client just doesn't support Mac for some reason.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable.
And
Yeah,
considering that I am now mainlining Linux a lot more, I'm even doing this interview on Linux.
I see that.
Wow. I would really like to see Linux support be a huge factor into like Brick Hill, considering that with a platform like Roblox, for example, they don't officially support Linux. They don't have native support. You have to run it through Wine in order to get it to function properly. And even then, from my experience of running Roblox through Wine, there are a few issues that happen as a result. Like, for example, like even looking around for just like a few frames gets the mouse completely stuck on the screen, and there's like nothing you can do about it. And there's supposed to be like a community patch for it, and I'm trying to compile like the repository that is supposed to have that patch, but of course the maintainers of the repository are just having like their own set of issues with their with like hot fixes and stuff. So I had to raise issues like saying, hey, your hotfix is raising errors or whatever, I can't get this working. So yeah, it's just a major relief that Brick Hill is going to be natively supporting Linux. It just makes it so much less of a hassle than like running it through Wine. And especially when I tried streaming it yesterday, when I tried running it through Wine on Linux, it just kept crashing.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to end off the development. I think the most important question to ask is, what do you think I think you've already sort of answered this question, but what do you think are some of the biggest issues or challenges that you've come across with not just the workshop in Player 2, but development of Brick Hill in general? And, like, how do you think you might overcome them?
Oh, that's a very open-ended question. That's very broad. I mean, challenges with development. I don't know if it actually counts as development, but finding developers is an incredibly challenging thing. And then funding developers is a very challenging thing. Because my perspective isn't so much on like getting my hands dirty with the actual development and things like that, as in like actually like coding stuff. It's just kind of the managing that and kind of planning what to do. So definitely those two I would consider personally the biggest challenges you can find in something like this. But then there are like showstoppers like communicating with our developer. We find that I think scripting for him is like a very new thing. He's trying to get his head around how that would work for us, especially with like networking and then in conjunction with the clients and the workshop and blah blah blah. I think actually, well, he has just started on that now. We're kind of getting a grip on that, but obviously because he's an outside hire, we kind of have to kind of really focus on communication. That's a very important thing for us. Because we might say something that we understand because we've played Roblox for like the past 10 years, um, and he's like never played the game, so we kind of have to shift the way we kind of like say things or say what we mean or say how we want something to be done, things like that. So we've learned how to communicate a lot better now. So I guess that's not so much of a challenge, but something we've learned. Um, and then as far as like Jeff and me goes, getting him to go on the website and things like that, I think kind of conceptualizing ideas and bringing them to the table, bringing them together, because you might have like a hodgepodge of different ideas, and then you take it to the group and you think, oh yeah, this looks good, this looks good. Ooh, what if we did this and that? And then it kind of like fizzles out. So we need to kind of like continue to keep motivation within the group, keep development going on, and kind of just mature and marinate on those ideas, really kind of push them together. Because what happens most of the time is we'll say something great, have this great idea, start to develop it, start to plan it, kind of how we'll kind of go about it, when we might start working on it. For example, uh, we had this Avatar update, right? It's like I would love to big it up and just like brag about it, but we've been planning it for like 6 months now. I think since April, which is yeah, 6 months. And we're only just started to kind of like really get our hands dirty, getting in there. We're hiring artists to come up with avatar designs, and that's been a big mess because we need to find the right artist. And oh no, they didn't do it right. But we still got, we have to pay them. We have to work out the funds and all that. And it's such a big mess. The planning stages up to that, trying to keep it all together, keep it all organized, make sure like because we hired XS as well. We were very excited to have him on the team because finally we've got someone who learn and kind of do stuff and make stuff as we go along. So we kind of have this developer who we test stuff with. So because Jeff and me, he's very much like he likes the finished product being handed to him. It's very hard to kind of say like, oh, what if this avatar, what if we wanted people to be able to wear this and kind of like layer clothing or something. It's kind of Jeff and me would have to know that that's what we want to do. Whereas with XS, we can kind of experiment and we can say like, what if we did this? Oh no, that doesn't quite work. What if we change this around? And then he could do that. Isn't really an option we had before, or at least not for a very long time. But yeah, I mean, kind of just keeping everyone together, keeping everyone organized, because obviously, we need the graphic designers, we need the marketing. Obviously, Max. Actually, we have a marketing team now that we've kind of developed a bit more now. We have a nice foothold in that. But yeah, I mean, keeping him together on the ideas and everything. We have like Arm. I don't know that username right now, but yeah,
Oh yeah, the moderator Arm, the staff member.
Yeah, them. They come up with some pretty decent ideas. They're very helpful in a whole range of things. They did a lot of the skyboxes. They've done a lot of discussions with the developer and things like that. Very useful. I mean, a lot of these people that are just moderator on the website, very useful in the back. Are in the background. And they kind of a lot of them end up they're in their prime when they step out of the spotlight of that position. But yeah, I mean, I go on so many tangents, but honestly, it's just
No worries,
trying to get
it's
everyone, trying to get everyone in doing everything, actually focused, getting the work done, and kind of like just staying on that work, getting dedicated, just moving along. That's like the hardest thing to do, because it just just stifles, like I said, and whatever else. But yeah, everything gets in the way. It's just kind of forcing people to work, basically. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now.
Nah, it's fine. Uh, anyway, like, even if you were to answer these questions quite quickly, the way that the project is framed is that since I'm working by myself, I have, like, a much shorter time requirement as opposed to if I were to be, like, working in a group. Because I think my minimum requirement is, like, 3 minutes, and then, if you were to be, like, working in a group before, like, the minimum's, like, 12 minutes or whatever. No worries. I like hearing a lot of information from you. It's something that I could probably easily, like, go through, like, once I, like, listen back to all this and see what is interesting and probably apply it to the project. So, no worries.
Okay, cool.
But let's move on to, sort of the Halloween event, because I want to talk a little bit about the Halloween event, but just going over it briefly. And I mainly want to focus on the Halloween event because I think this might be the first time that Brick Hill's used dedicated servers. Is this the first time that Brick Hill has dedicated servers? or is
Yeah,
this?
technically yes. Outside of testing, yeah, we've had a couple public ones, but we didn't like announce it or anything. This is the first time we've been doing it on like a grand scale.
Oh, okay, okay, good to know. Because I want to know, like, how long have you been wanting to use dedicated servers as opposed to users hosting the sets themselves?
I honestly, it wasn't much of a thought process. I mean, users hosting it themselves more or less worked, like to the degree that we needed it to. So we weren't. It wasn't like a huge thing on our radar. We always thought when the new client came out, that's when we would do it. And then Jeff and me just kind of started working on it right now, which makes sense because obviously we need it we more or less need it ready for that. Um, but yeah, I think as well it kind of like it became a possibility, but honestly, Jeff and me more or less just started working on it in the background, and then he kind of said, "Hey, I'm doing dedicated servers now." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." Um, and yeah, we actually it was ready, kind of more or less, for the uh, I can't remember the name of the event, the one with the Incan exploration and that. It was more or less ready for that, but we didn't use it then because Jeff and me was away. He like wasn't available to set it up for us. Um,
Oh, this-
but they've been ready for quite a while. It's just kind of like testing and all that. But no, I mean, kind of with the size of Brick Hill as well, it kind of made a lot of sense to start working on dedicated servers. But yeah, it did
hmm.
kind of just rise from nothing. There was no kind of motivator for it. But we did actually see this event as like a great opportunity to test it, to kind of just see if it would work, because this is kind of the only way you can get a ton of people on Brick Hill playing one game. Obviously with an official event. So it was just kind of like a good opportunity.
Okay, considering that this is the Halloween event is the event that you have decided to test this feature on. I mean, a lot has happened with the Halloween event so far. Like even
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the first like 1 or 2 days that the set has been opened, like a whole lot has happened. Like, what was one thing that stuck out the most to you in this entire Halloween event so far, and why?
I mean, I think on a positive note, it's just the marketing. But no, honestly, it was. I mean, the thing is, I would say like the event kind of crashing and overloading and all that. Right at the start, that was a big thing. Well, I mean, the thing is, something like that happens every year. Like, trust me. Like, I mean, we plan and plan and plan, and then something happens, game crashes, it gets really laggy, there are a bunch of bugs, something like this. Because we don't test that great. Like we always test for like 5 people, the people that were making it or working on it, and we're like, oh yeah, this works great, and then we post it, and then there's what 100 people playing this time, and then like, oh wow, all these people found this issue, and turns out the server doesn't like it when 100 people try and join all at once. But no, I mean, yeah, that was quite memorable. And then that happened again, obviously, when the second week released, and I'm sure it will happen in the third week. But nah,
Yeah, that's why I'm like
it's
waiting like an
fine.
additional day before I do the events because I don't want to experience that sort of
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
problems. Well, I'll probably skip this question because I think that one's gonna be pretty obvious. Do you plan on keeping self-hosting as a model, or do you think you're just gonna
For
phase it
sure.
out? Oh, okay, awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
was
yeah. I
wondering if
mean,
you were gonna like phase it out completely and only use dedicated servers.
it makes sense to keep it right now. I mean, like, obviously, a lot of games. I think Roblox is a minority when it hosts them for their users, but it makes sense for both kind of hands because from a developer standpoint, people can do so many more things when they host it with the users. We're gonna set certain kind of like warnings, I guess, and restrictions. Um, for people hosting them themselves because obviously the risk of like IP addresses and like
Yeah,
they're
the
not that
security.
risky, but like yeah, you want people to be aware of what they're getting into if they try and join one of these games or something like that. Um, but for the most part, it's very necessary to keep them there. A huge aspect of Brick Hill is like everything you could do with it. Like we have people connect Brick Hill to Roblox and vice versa, and to Minecraft even, and just random stuff like that. To different websites. I think I saw someone play like Brick Hill on Brick Hill. It's just weird things you can do like that, and it's just like it would be sad to kind of lock out that portion of our community just because we're now hosting them ourselves.
Hmm. So speaking of the community, I want to focus my last set of questions like on the community itself and more of the overall objective of Brickle. Like, how active would you say the community is right now? Simple question.
Um, it's like pretty stable. It's pretty active. I would say. I mean, I think it kind of fluctuates in the year. Weirdly, summer is like a not very active time. Kind of speaks to like what there is to do on Brick Hill. But no, I mean we have quite a dedicated community. We get a lot of old users coming back. Um, Not so many new users kind of onto the site right now, which is obviously something we're trying to change. But we have a pretty stable. Like for example, if you've been on Brick Hill since like say 2019, 2020, you're still going to be here now
Hmm.
just because you've been playing it for that long. That's kind of like your thing. So we do have like a reasonably decent like active community. Um, there's not much else to say there, but
Yeah, I mean, I think I joined like first played Brick Hill in like early 2020 or something like that, and I check on the website occasionally just to see what's up. But
yeah, yeah.
how much would you say that the Brick Hill has grown as opposed to like Brick Hill like a year ago or two? And do you think this growth will still continue as Brick Hill goes on?
Well, I mean, it's funny you say that. I mean, we've grown less, which is like, alarm bells kind of go off. We are very kind of stagnant right now, because obviously nothing's kind of been happening. There's hype has gone down, like YouTubers aren't and things like that, so much anymore. So it has gone down. I'm not that concerned over it, because it's still pretty constant. It's just lower. Um, and now we're kind of putting a bunch of energy. Like we just started doing like YouTube Shorts and the TikTok a little bit more, and then obviously we have Twitter. Twitter had like a huge boost in activity recently because we just kind of been putting more attention to things like that. So I think I'm pretty confident that within the next year, if not the next few months, we'll be able to kind of like pump up that activity again. Because obviously a lot of stuff is releasing. We're gonna do more blog posts, more publicity, more things like that. So yeah, I'm not very concerned. I would have been probably this time 6 months ago if I had actually realized that it was way slowed down. But it's kind of curving a little bit up again, which is reassuring.
Let's talk a little bit else about the community. Let's get away from growth. So what are some complaints that you frequently hear from players? Because I'm pretty sure you, the CEO of Brick Hill, get like a lot of feedback from the community. So like, what are some things that you frequently hear from players? And do you think like they could be logical, or do you think like it's absolutely nonsense? Like you could just brush that off?
A lot of times we get complaints about like bans and punishments and being too strict or too relaxed, and I definitely think too relaxed is an issue. Too strict tends to be the people who are getting banned because kind of they need to be banned. Um, a major issue, I guess, kind of to do with the community is that we aren't that transparent with what we do. Um, and I always say, oh, we're going to change this, we're going to change that, and then it's quite difficult to get into that mindset of just releasing kind of like the information in a kind of structured way that users can understand or that may be valuable to anyone. But yeah, that is one major issue with actually like Reaper itself. But within the community, um, there's definitely kind of like rampant rule breaking and things going on like that. Um, which is very difficult to get a grip on, especially now that we are kind of like big enough that it's kind of hard to control. Um, but we are kind of sort of leaning in the direction of kind of improving moderation and things like that. We currently have a project going on just to completely kind of improve how we can like see things and users doing whatever else, just to make it way easier for us to kind of deal with people breaking rules and whatnot. And then I think another issue that we see is that trading in the economy is just kind of like tanked right now. And personally, I've got no experience in that. I should have
Yeah,
looked
same.
into
I
like
have like
that
I
sort of
don't
thing.
really get into the trading scene. Like I
Yeah.
only got my one special from the giveaway and that's like it.
Exactly, same kind of circumstances. I don't do that sort of thing. I don't really understand it very much, and it's very hard because like, yeah, two groups of people complaining about the exact same thing, but they both have like these polar opposite ways that they think will fix it. So it's very kind of hard to to deal with that, to kind of solve that issue. As plus with trading, you get the worst types of people there, because they kind of thrive off of that power, that sort of gambling sort of thing. That's where half of our rules are centered because people try and scam users, they try and do this and that. So it's a very hard kind of area of the site to tame and kind of control of, especially to kind of build it into a positive one. You kind
Yeah.
of have like traders and then the community are very kind of split from each other. Plus, most of our traders kind of they form these little groups, these tight knit groups, and then they
Little
sort of do things in
cliques,
those
like
groups.
high school
Yeah,
cliques.
yeah. And it's very away from the site as well, so there's not much we can actually do to really look
Yeah.
into that.
There's like a lot of drama that goes on in the brick hill trading community. Like I
Tons
remember
of it,
like
yeah.
I think a year ago I like saw this YouTube channel. I think his name was Devo, and he like made a video like calling
Yeah,
out
yeah,
like some of the higher ups of the brick hill trade community, and was
yeah.
like so mad because like some of the people were like quite corrupt or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a huge thing.
yeah, that's like the only drama that I remember, but other than that, I like never pay attention to it at all. But
Yeah,
sheesh, I kind of
yeah,
see
that would
why
have been one
like
to remember.
websites like Roblox like sort of stop do trading, like they
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
do it
for
as much
sure.
as they used to. Um, but one thing that I do notice about you is that you actually tend to engage with the community a lot. Like I see you often in the Discord servers. You always pop up on Brick Hill streams, and the fact that you're even doing this interview with me right now. And what do you think that engagement says about you as a person? Like, do you see it as a good thing, or do you see that as a bad thing?
I see that as a good thing. I mean, I have always tried to be very involved. I mean, back in 2017 when I first kind of like really came onto this site and started doing stuff for it and everything, that's when my kind of role was just trying to get in with the community, get to know people, kind of build this rapport between users and staff to, just build, make it a positive environment, one where they can kind of like talk to us and connect with us and things like that. So it was very friendly. I chose to make because my username used to be Alex D, which is just my name and my surname's initial, but I changed that to Spacebuilder because we kind of, and then same with Brick Luke being Brick Luke, because we wanted them to kind of, we didn't want to be ourselves. We wanted to more or less kind of like be friendly caricatures of ourselves, just kind of, so they kind of see us as more of like, more kind of like to them like users themselves, rather than these big corporate people that own this game or these big distant people that just develop the game and whatnot. And I think getting in with the community is super duper important. It makes you way more like uh engaged, kind of like way more equal to them, and it gives me tons of experience with users. Like for example, if someone's breaking the rules or something like that, I can really kind of, I have a ton more under my belt now that I can understand and approach these issues, and we can take that to a global scale with the entire site. So, see what people want, see this, see that. People are much more friendly to me. They're much more happy to see me now. I personally, I enjoy it a ton. I enjoy engaging with the community. I don't think I would like doing this if I didn't engage with the community, because half of what we do, like this Halloween event is specifically kind of like, we love seeing kids play the game and enjoy it and things like that. And it's just very important for me personally to engage with the community. And I think at least from a CEO perspective, it's very easy to not meet much interference. Like moderators will probably get kind of like a bit more conflict more often, but being literally right at the top, it's quite easy for me to just get in there and kind of just see what's going on and things like that.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna skip. Yeah, I'm gonna skip this question. All right. So, I have three more questions. So the first one that I want to ask is like, what are some goals that you hope to accomplish with Brick Hill? Like, do you think like you're gonna try to be like Roblox and try to like create the metaverse, which for my project, I think it's sort of like the underlying theme of the
Yeah.
whole project is like the metaverse and like who is gonna be able to try and create it first. Like, do you think that you're gonna try to like create something like the metaverse, or do you just expect it to be something else?
Not in the least. I mean, there are no like grand aspirations for Brick Hill. We want to take it far, but I think kind of like the basis of what it is right now is already set. I don't want it to be like this huge, massive thing. I don't want it to be like this giant, broad, whatever Roblox is trying to do themselves. I quite like that we have this niche, this kind of brick thing. It's quite simple. It's quite nice. There's a community there, which sure we can develop and build on. I think maybe make it a bit more, like, wide-reaching in terms of its audience, but there are no like massive things we want to do that. We don't like want to take over the online scene or be this this game that literally everybody plays or anything like that. We're quite comfortable where we are and with our current standing. We just want to kind of like refine that and develop that a bit more. That's more or less it for brand schemes and everything. So yeah.
Uh, what do you think is probably the hardest part of maintaining a platform like Brick Hill? I think you've already answered this question, but I just want to like double check to make sure like I have this answer.
Maintaining it is just the community, keeping everybody in check, keeping them kind of like more or less like I don't know, so they don't break the rules all the time, so that they are aware that there is a structure and an order to it. We don't want people just harassing everybody left and right. That's that's the kind of the hardest part of keeping everything in check because it's just a constant battle. Um, just trying to make sure everyone just stays the same like that. That's it, just keeping it in check. You know, that's not like trying to keep the site alive or anything like that. Purely keeping everything kind of just in order. That's definitely the hardest thing.
All right, and I think the final question that I want to ask is, why do you think someone should decide to join Brick Hill, like apart from other competitors like Polytoria, the upcoming Brick Planet when it gets revived for like the 10th time? Uh, like, what do you think would be like a leading reason as to why someone should join Brick Hill?
Um, as opposed to Roblox, I'll start off by saying, as opposed to Roblox, I think definitely because the community aspect is there, which Roblox has kind of repeatedly kind of stripped away from their platform. Um, it's kind of like everything's right there, and it's smaller, it's more accessible. You could go on the forums and you'll see someone that you'll see that you've seen them like last week. You talk to them every day. You don't really get that on Roblox because it's such a huge platform now, and they took the forums and all that. Um, in terms of like Polytoria, I don't know much about that platform. I
I
don't
will
I
say
don't
that
speak.
I am a beta tester of their program, and I think the owner of the platform is actually starting to like develop the new client. He's like reworking it from scratch, as far as I know.
Oh, wow, that's
So
impressive. Yeah, one thing I do know is that I think Scythe. I've spoken to Scythe. I think he works there pretty like highly. I'm not sure. I can't speak on that, but uh, actually no, I do like what they're doing there. I do think they're doing a decent job, but right now I think they've been out since like 2018, 2019 sort of time, maybe. Obviously, no more than me probably, but um, they're pretty stagnant in the community. I think they've got like 20,000 users or something like that. Um, but yeah, I think Brick Hill kind of has all going for it for the games right now, give or take, because I know they have a really decent client. I don't think they have scripting, or if they do, then it's not that advanced right
Polytoria,
now, or
I
it's just
think they are working on scripting. Actually, I think that's like
yeah,
one of the
it's
beta features right now.
yeah, I guess it's kind of like a space race type thing. But in terms of Brick Planet, I mean, personally, anyone that goes to Brick Planet, I probably wouldn't have wanted them to play Brick Hill anyway. There were no real downsides to it existing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think it's fine in itself, but the direction that Brick Planet has kind of always taken has very much jarred with me. Because one thing with Brick Hill is like we might make a bunch of mistakes and there might be a bunch of delays and things like this, which obviously they're nothing to take lightly, but we have always like put the community first and put users first at the forefront of our attention. Like for example, like none of us take a salary. The only people that take salaries are the people that we hire from the outside. Everyone does this volunteer, and then we'll continue to do it volunteer until we know that everything we've provided and what we can provide, we kind of are doing. Which is why like practically all of our funds just go to the new client right now. And then once that's subsided, we'll probably end up pushing a bunch of the funds to like artists and things like that to make hats and whatnot. We are kind of devoted to this idea of we have to put the users first. They are kind of like the most important thing. They keep us alive. They keep the site thriving. That's they are here because they expect us to provide a service for them, which is what we want to do. And I don't see that sort of thing with Brick Planet or anything like that. Um, as I said, I don't know Politoria or any of the alternatives well enough to kind of speak for them.
Yeah,
For
I
Brick
still need
Planet,
to
at
discover
least,
some of them as well.
yeah. And plus, I mean, like Brick Planet was the biggest, and they kind of set the Alright, yeah, what was your question? I don't know where I got cut off or anything like that, but I'm sure I was just
It's fine. I kind of did want to ask like a sort of follow-up question because you talked a lot about how any of the funds that you get from Brick Hill, you say that you're putting a lot of it towards like contractors and all that sort of stuff, like contract work. So that
yeah,
way
yeah.
you putting almost all the money back into Brick Hill as a platform. So like you're not making any money from this. Like you like do you like is there something else that you do to get by? I'm just quite curious. This is a more personal question, but it's something that
Nah, right
struck me as
right now
curious.
I work on because I go to university, I get student loan and things like that. For the time being, the plan is by the time I've left university, hopefully, Brick Hill will be able to sustain itself and pay for its workers and everything like that. Yeah.
All right, I think that's really all I have for this interview. That's all the questions I have. Is there
All
anything
right.
else that you would like to say? And do you have any questions for me? Because I'll be glad to answer any.
I think I've been very, very verbose. But yeah, no, I mean, there isn't really much I have to say personally. I mean, I was quite intrigued by your project, so I just thought um I would come on here and see what. But to be honest, I wanted to see what I would have to say to your questions. Um,
I think the
but
only
yeah, I
other
mean,
thing that I really have to say is because since this interview has actually gone on for quite some time now, over half
yeah,
an
yeah.
hour, I actually wasn't expecting it to take this long. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for taking your time to do this interview with me.
No, thank you for having me.
I really had a blast actually speaking with you in person. This is, I believe, the first time I've spoken to you in person because up
Yeah,
until
yeah,
now we've
directly.
the only time we've spoken is like through little conversations in the
Yeah.
Brick Hill server and like forum posts through streams and stuff. So it's really nice to get to speak to you directly. But yeah, I think that's really all I have to say for this interview. And again, thank you for coming on and doing this interview. You have been a great person to interview, and I really like to see Brick Hill continue to develop as a platform and see what it has to offer in the future.